Welcome to an episode of the Sports Genes Into the Lab podcast, where sports analysts and experts dissect the latest news from the NBA and NFL, giving you a unique view on some of the hottest topics around your favorite teams. From the fresh field smells of the NFL to the hardwood courts of the NBA, and possibly your comfy couch for your fantasy football team. Let's see what kind of news the lab is working with today. Here's your host from the Sports Analytics headquarters in San Antonio, Texas, Ernest Silva.
What is going on, guys? It is exciting to be back on a beautiful Wednesday night here in San Antonio, Texas. I'll tell you what, it is hot out there. I hope you guys are staying cool. And I wouldn't be surprised if it's a low view episode. Why, guys? Because the Spurs are playing tonight and places are packed and it's time to watch Spurs playoff basketball. But again, I'm your host, Ernest Silva. The podcast, it's not a Spurs podcast, but here in San Antonio, Texas, beautiful San Antonio, Texas. You can catch all of my content and the show's content at Into the Lab Pod. That's where this show is being filmed right now. So you can come check us out right now. Come put in some comments. Come check out everything. But I am more than excited to be going over tonight. We have some beautiful guests on tonight with us. That's right. We have the returning sports scientist, TJ McKinley. TJ, what's going on, man?
This is TJ McKinley at Mr. TJ Service. As you can see, go follow me on Twitter. I'm just ready to get started.
Heck yeah. And you may not recognize him because it's been a little while, but yes, you are right. That is Asian Tatum himself making his return, the sports scientist with the action. What's going on, Chris?
The return since winning the fantasy football championship. Yes, I'm still riding the momentum of that. But yeah, I'm super stoked to be back, ready for some NBA playoffs, getting into some good matchups, and excited to be here.
Beautiful. We were going to go through some pretty heavy debates tonight, but I think we're going to stick to playoffs. I think that's what we're going to do. And already right from the back, a sports scientist from afar, Luke Hardo making an appearance. Is that Carl Weiser himself? Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
I tried to do the voice, but we know how this went last time. Shout out to Luke.
Shout out to Luke. Luke, hope you're doing well, man. Hope you're doing well. And in case you guys are worried about what's happening on the screen, that's not a glitch. It's not a glitch happening. That's right. That is one of our sponsors, Glitch Energy. Glitch Energy, one of our main sponsors tonight's show. Glitch Energy, glitch with a Y. Use our code BCMG, glitchenergy.com, and get yourself a very heavy discount, 25% off, and help out your favorite show. All right, guys, tonight we're going to start off with the wonderful hoops. But before we jump into NBA action, let's talk some local action. That's right. The Into the Lab podcast Hoopathon will be coming at you August 6th in Cape Cod, Massachusetts. We'll be making the journey all the way up to Massachusetts from Texas. Triple Double Basketball Academy will be traveling with us. They'll be flying over there just like we will. We'll be joining the general himself, Steve Reisner. You can come out and catch the action live at the Sims Academy Basketball Arena, or you can check it out online and donate to help some senior girls go and play for their dream school in college. Go out there August 6th. We'll have more information on how you can donate and where the site will be on a later episode. So let's get started, guys. NBA playoff pick'em, and it's going to be fun. We're going to talk about each series, where we think they're going to go, what are some X factors. And I'd like to start in the Western Conference because I think that's where the heavy debates are going to be. I think the East is a little wide open. But let's start that conversation going right now. The Phoenix Suns series, I want to start off first. So Phoenix Suns, the number one overall seed in the Western Conference Finals, led by Chris Paul, Devin Booker, and of course DeAndre Ayton. And then you have the winner between the series of what will be more than likely Clippers Spurs. And the reason I say Spurs is because it's a Texas-based podcast, guys. I'm going to say it right now. Probably you guys may have the Pelicans in there, but I'm going to go Clippers Spurs for now. In your opinion, who comes out of a Clippers Spurs or a Clippers Pelicans matchup for you guys? First off.
I'm gonna go. Okay.
Okay.
I'm gonna go. We all know the Suns. These are not like the Steve Nash Suns from back in the day. So they got defense this time. I didn't like the old teams. Let me see, Devin Booker. He been. I think he got. I think he know what it takes now. He done matured as a player. The player that the Suns need him be. DeAndre Ayton. He's still questionable. He getting injured from time to time. Chris Paul. He an OG in the game, but he he know what to do. Clippers. I don't know. Cause Kawhi Leonard and Paul George both be playing this. I'm be injured this game. Are we losing? Let me start being injured. So I'm gonna have to go with Suns. Y'all think the Clippers they're gonna be playing too much? They just play too much.
TJ goes Suns straight up, just out of the bag. Doesn't matter who they're playing. Chris, for you, does it matter who's the 8th seed in the West?
To me, it doesn't really matter. I think the Suns are on kind of a redemption quest. I know CP3 definitely wants to get back to the show. He got a taste of it last year, and I know he's going to be doing everything in his power. And he's just such a basketball genius that he can be really valuable in a series. And I think D Book, as we've seen this season, is elevated to an MVP candidate level that he's in the conversation now. He's regularly appearing in the top 8, top 5 rankings. And but to your earlier point, Ernest, I actually do have the Spurs coming out of that Pelicans matchup. I'm a DeJounte Murray fan myself, Keldon Johnson and those boys. Beautiful. So I'm pulling for those Spurs tonight.
I placed some money on the Spurs tonight. I think that's a solid pick for me. I don't go against Coach Pop in the playoffs. I don't think it matters who comes out between the Spurs and Clippers personally. Maybe a game. Yeah, 4-1 gentleman's sweep either way. But I think the Suns take the series pretty easy and pretty candidly. I think when we start getting a little further down the line, Western Conference Finals, maybe the finals. I'm gonna start, depending on how series are going, I'll see how high I'm on the Suns. But I think that's the team to beat in the West. Let's move on and make this simple. Grizzlies, T-Wolves in a matchup most probably didn't have on their bracket to start off. But I think it's a very interesting matchup, and I'll start my analysis on this one. The Grizzlies are young. The Grizzlies are hungry, and it's a very, very fun team to watch. And I think you couldn't ask for a better first-round playoff series than the Timberwolves, a team who has been chasing getting in for so long. A lot of energy, right? We saw that last night with them beating the Clippers. But there's a lot more talent in Memphis, and there's a lot more chemistry in Memphis, in my opinion. I think it depends on which Karl-Anthony Towns shows up for the night, that the Wolves might be able to grab a game or two in this series. And because of the youth of the Grizzlies, I lean Grizzlies in 6 for this matchup. And just because of that Ute, shout out to my cousin Vinny, that Utes over there in Memphis. But let me hear what your thoughts are, Chris. What do you see in this series?
I think you hit it right on the nail, Ernest. It really depends on what kind of Karl-Anthony Towns we see in this first round, because we really haven't had that sample size of him like being in these kind of situations. And now that he's going to be in a highly contested first round, it's going to be difficult for him if he doesn't come ready. But I think we've seen the development of him maturing as a basketball player, and I think he will be ready for it. It's just going to be tough going up against guys like Ja Morant, Desmond Bane, Jaren Jackson Jr., who came back phenomenally off of that injury. They just have really good supporting pieces. You look at guys like Steven Adams, you look at Kyle Anderson, the slow-mo. Right. They just have such a great team. And like you said, they're in sync. So it's going to be dependent on if the T-Wolves can bring it to that level that the Grizzlies are at, if this is going to be a good series.
Yeah, you've got to think that Go ahead. What are you saying, TJ?
Oh, I said good breakdown. You broke it all the way down. This one to say. This going to depend on how Ja Morant play and how Anthony Edwards play. If Ja Morant not playing well, I don't see the Grizzlies playing well. If Anthony Edwards ain't playing well, we know Karl-Anthony Towns, he up and down. He not consistent when it comes to playoffs. But I feel like these one of them two teams, they built around their stars. Like how AI was with the 76ers back in the day. This how this is. Like if Ja Morant not clicking, I don't see, because we know Ja Morant is the Grizzlies. They go his energy. Jaren Jackson Jr., he's still, I don't know what he be doing. But this basically gonna be a Ja Morant versus Anthony Edwards game.
Yeah, I completely agree with you there. I like the Anthony Edwards comparison, right? To see a rookie getting that showcase here in the playoffs, or that second year, not a rookie, but the second year for Anthony Edwards. I was just showing the bracket so you can have a visual on what that bracket looks like for all of those people watching. So it seems like we're pretty unanimous here. The Grizzlies probably moving on here. I love to see the talent and growth in the Timberwolves. That's what aspiring lottery teams want to do, right? Is continue to grow. And that takes us to a couple of veteran teams, though, which is the Warriors and the Nuggets. So excited to see the Warriors and the Nuggets in this matchup. Wish everybody was healthy. And this is like the series of injuries here. And so if we look at the Warriors and the Nuggets, first thing that pops out to you, Chris, is what? What's your first breakdown on this series?
My first breakdown into this series would be, man, if Jamal Murray was healthy and raring to go for this. You look at both teams, and while Curry is kind of nursing that ankle that injury he suffered against Boston, and obviously Denver and PJ with his issues, Jamal Murray, Jokic still playing at a high level. It's just Golden State has so much depth. They have good quality players at every position, 1 through 8 in their rotation. You got guys like Jordan Poole, who, in my opinion, is the most improved player. You guys got Gary Payton, a gritty guard who can play defense. You got Kuminga, and he's kind of that Harrison Barnes for them from the previous Warriors teams that can inject energy. And then you have Klay Thompson obviously coming back and being an effective 3-and-D guy still. So I think they just have way too much firepower as a team to let this Nuggets team get the best of them in a 7-game series. But I think this will go a pretty decent amount of games.
Yeah, I think Jokic is that X factor. TJ, for you, the Nuggets obviously don't have the depth to compete. They have a shortened rotation. Do you give the Nuggets a chance to win this series? I guess that's a better way of putting it.
I'm gonna not try to sound biased because I'm a Cavs fan. The Warriors Cavs finals. I'm still a little bit bitter, but I'm gonna not be biased. I'm gonna be honest. I think the Warriors. I think it's going 6 games because I feel like it's gonna be like a game or two. The Denver Nuggets defense gonna pick up the pace, but I'm not really gonna go in on this series. I feel like we finally get to see the Warriors bench. You know how it was all Draymond, Clay, KD, and stuff. So we didn't really. Now I think we get to see how the players don't develop sitting behind them guys. And I think they have stepped up, especially with Clay coming back off injury. Draymond Green, he injured, playing one night. I think this gonna be a showcase for the best players who are now started. Jordan Poole, is it Wiseman? Wiseman playing? Yeah,
Yep.
I think Denver just they too inconsistent for me. Like
again, yeah, 2 teams really riddled with injuries all year, and you never get to see the full potential. But sound the alarm! We get a West Coast analysis here. We're gonna get the West Coast man, and so that's right. Eric Mungia making his return, sports scientist himself. What's going on, Eric?
Hey, how's it going, guys? Good evening.
Man, I love that background. Yeah,
Thank
there's
you.
Eric.
Thank you.
Trust me, TJ's waiting for that Steve to show up. He's waiting for it. He knows he's waiting for that Steve Reisner. And if Steve's out there and you're listening, Steve.
Yeah, Eric was on me too. Yeah, what's your team again?
I mean, it depends. I like the Suns. I like the Lakers. I love great basketball. So
now, understand Eric is in Phoenix, so he has to like the Suns. It's a very true statement there. Eric, predictions real quick. Give me your 30-second take. Warriors, Nuggets. Who comes out of that series?
Warriors in 6. Too strong. I think Klay Thompson is going to come out and just be dominant. I think this is his time to shine. He's been subpar all season. He needs to make a big impact. And I think this is the way. Just winning that series and keep on winning until they reach the Suns in the semis.
Beautiful. Don't forget, guys, before we do the last Western Conference showdown, we are going to pick our BCMG parlay at the end of tonight's episode for tomorrow's games or for future games. So stick around so you can get what that parlay looks like, whether it's baseball, basketball, or just some sort of weird sport out there in the world. We're going to pick it. Good thing you didn't take our Tiger pick for last week's match. No, we didn't pick Tiger, but we would have. All right, here we go. Mavericks Jazz in a game that's going to be very interesting. And a series that's kind of a tale of 2 tales here. So we'll start this one off. not sure on the Luka situation, right? He's out indefinitely, but not saying it's going to go past a game. So he's definitely out game 1 of this series. And so do we really think Dallas has a chance against a dismantled Jazz team? I guess we can start there. Eric, I'll start with you because everybody has started a series. You haven't yet. So we'll start with you. What is your take on the Luka-less Mavs for game 1 in that series?
That's a huge loss. Luka is the team, and I'll stand by it. Mavs works around with Luka, and without Luka, it's going to be very painful. If Luka doesn't come back by game 2, or by far, if even game 3, I think Jazz is going to win out in 6. Jazz has one more year together with that same group. I mean, Gobert's out. I mean, unless they give Mitchell a super max, he's staying. But this is the last year that this Utah group has to do something. But it's a huge loss.
I think it's a bye-bye to the Utah Jazz all-star core. That's for darn sure.
Yeah.
And I'm just getting warmed up, so I'm not cussing yet. Chris, I look at this. I think the Mavs are really deep roster-wise. So I'm not even biased. I hate the Mavericks as a Rockets fan. So I am not biased whatsoever. I think the Mavericks have a really good team. The Rockets do too, but we're not going to go there. So for you, Chris, do the Mavericks have a chance to steal game 1 and keep the series favored for them?
See, this is the one series I'm very conflicted with in terms of how it's going to play out, because Luka really is that gear that makes this team operate to its full potential. And when you think about it, take Luka out of the equation, the Jazz have the next best 2 players in the series. So you used to have the best player in the series. Now you're up against the best 2 players in the series. So it kind of flips things. Luka's such a great creator, and I feel like he can get Gobert into those awkward situations on the perimeter where like he's getting kind of exposed defensively. Now you switch to Brunson and Dinwiddie, and it's, yes, those are quality players, starting caliber guards, but it's just you're losing so much from Luka to them that it's just going to be very difficult. But like you said, it's very deep Mavericks team. Dorian Finney-Smith is very impressive to me. I like what Klebo is doing early on. It's a similar team to Boston in the regular season. They underperformed at the beginning and then really turned it around post All-Star break and peaked at the right time. So I don't want to bet against them in the series, but it's just kind of hard to see the first couple of games, how they'll play out.
So
I'll tell you what, before you say anything, Eric, definitely we have Kenny, one of our sports scientists. Kenny is commenting on the post. He says, Utah stinks, but not as bad as Cleveland. TJ, they're taking shots from afar at the Cleveland Cavs. He's blowing that off.
Eric, Kenny, what's up, bro?
Eric, what do you say to that?
So, Chris, let me ask you this. How many games does Luka have to miss in order for the Mavs to be in trouble in the series?
Well, for the Mavs to be in trouble, he'd have to miss at least 3 games. I think that they'll win the series. I think the Mavs win the series regardless. Utah is so broken. Donovan Mitchell and Gobert do not play together. Like, they're on the same court, but they don't play together. He passes to him 2 or 3 times a game. That's ridiculous. He's the primary playmaker, and Gobert is their star center. And you'd think that would be a beautiful target in the PNR game. And it opens so much spacing wise, but it just doesn't happen. And it's because there's so much dissension between that team. It just doesn't work out. It reminds me of the mid 2010s Clippers teams that just never really panned out. A lot of injuries happen there, but it's same dissension, just a lot of like locker room issues that you just want to avoid.
It really reminds me of the 04 Lakers. That's what it really reminds me of. The Shaq Kobe debacle, it really feels that way. And you don't tend to go with the big man. But I do have a hot take that if the Jazz decided to go with Rudy Gobert instead of Donovan Mitchell, I got an idea where he might play next year. But that's a different episode for a different day. You'll have to tune back in.
Don't say Houston.
You would wish. That would be the end of the league right there. Could you imagine Donovan Mitchell and Jalen Green together? League's done at that point. Rebuild's over. Good Old Boy says the Jazz win that series no matter what. Jazz in 6. You guys are crazy here on ITL. Yeah. And those who don't follow Good Old Boys, fantastic program. Fantasy football analysis in general. They have tons of football takes. I will be on that podcast and that group come NFL draft night, featuring around the Cowboys, Texans, and Bears. Even though the Bears don't really have picks, they never do. They suck. And the Texans. So really, it's just Cowboys analysis. But we'll go on from there. So going back to the Dallas Jazz matchup, I agree almost wholeheartedly with Chris on this. I do think the Dallas Mavericks are the more talented team and not the dysfunctional team. And I do think, just like the Embiid Simmons thing that we called on ITL last year, it's going to happen in Utah also, whether off season or beginning of the season. And we're going to see that crazy split in Utah and see them kind of dash down into rebuild mode. TJ, I'm going to let you end this segment here. Who do you have in this series and why?
All right, first off, shout out to the Good Old Boys podcast. I'm gonna be on there like a week or two. Not with Ernest, but we both up there. Shout out to them. Like I said in the DMs, Jazz losing 4. I'm sorry. They got like this fake wannabe Shaq and Kobe situation going on. Like, I don't know. Rudy Gobert be trying to play like Shaq, like with he not good like that. I'm sorry. And Donovan Mitchell, he good, like Asian Tatum said. But it's like he got this wannabe Jordan Kobe situation. Ball hogging, only pass the ball 2 or 3 times. Mavericks team is really not that deep to me. Like, it's like they built around Luka. If Luka ain't playing, they team not gonna function. I still got Mavs in 4.
So it's interesting. You say they're not that good, but you still have Mavs in 4, which means you really think the Jazz are just dysfunctional. I'm okay with that, but I will say this, right? I do think the Mavs are better off when Luka's out than like when the Rockets were when Harden was out. Because when Harden was out, the Rockets looked like garbage. It was like Harden held the ball the entire time. It was all made for him. I think there's some offense actually in Dallas. They actually pass the ball around and they actually move. And I think it's Brunson, right? That's there in Dallas.
Yeah.
I think that's a fantastic ball handler, and they got tons of guys there that can do work. I'm excited to see what that looks like. Of course, I want to see Luka back. I want the guarantee, right? But I'm excited to see what that looks like. And right now, the Jazz are favored to win that series in all betting odds. Guys, yeah, go ahead, Eric.
I'll say one thing to remember though. They got Jordan Clarkson on the Jazz has Clarkson on the bench, and they also have Whiteside. So it's not a bad 6 and 7 right there.
Because they're big. Yeah, because they're big. And Dallas is not big by any means, right? Kleber is not huge. What is Kleber, like 6'9", 6'10", maybe?
Yeah, and a half if you want to give them.
If we're lucky. So, yeah, there's definitely more height there. And the Jazz have been they've been in the playoffs. They were a good team last few years, right? And there for a while, they would always lose to the Rockets, but they were always in the playoffs. So, good team. Let's move on here. We're going to say, you may not know it, but the BCMG stream team BCMG has a stream team, right? And if you haven't checked it out, I would definitely suggest you check that out in the very near future. Facebook Gaming or Twitch is where you can find them. But in case you don't know what streaming is or what I'm even talking about, check out the BCMG stream team video coming right now.
And then you can access your stream deck with your mind. Dim our key lights, bro.
Connect to your stream deck via catheter.
Oh! Yo! Clip that! Clip that headshot!
On the ladder.
You got both of us.
One more down.
I got it.
Finisher.
Yo! No fucking way! Let's go! Yo, that guy in the heli, he was all the way across the bed!
I think they've shut the door on these people.
Oh my god! That flick!
Tough battle.
Got him. Beautiful!
Another handful down.
That's it. Okay.
See? Oh my! You just died? No, someone fucking walked into the room that I was in as I was about to walk out and scared the fuck. You yelled.
I love it. Let's go to the Eastern Conference Finals. And if you haven't followed one of our beautiful streamers, go check them out, guys. Go drop them a follow. Go drop them a subscription. They deserve it. They put in a lot of hard work every day. Go check that out. All right, Eastern Conference playoffs, and this is the domain for most of the guys on here. Eric and I are going to chill while we watch the other two duke it out. But the first one's a doozy. And TJ, I don't know if you're watching tonight's game, but as a Cleveland fan, I really would not want to play Atlanta. But let's go ahead and talk about it. The Heat are the #1 overall seed in the East, and they play the winner, the Cavs Hawks. And we're calling Hawks already. 2 minutes left. They're up by 30. I'll start with you, TJ. This is your game here. This is your series. If the Cavs play the Hawks, which it looks like that's what's happening, do you see the Cavs winning that game to play the Heat in the East?
I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm not even gonna play. I don't care if the Cavs win or not because I know we gonna lose to the Heat. I'm sorry. I'm a diehard Cavs fan. It's like the Heat they got too much star power. They too intense. It's like one of them '90s teams. Like they just solid all around. I know they be arguing one night, but the Hawks versus the Cavs, I want the Cavs to win. But I feel like the Heat, whichever one of them teams they play, they go beat. I'm just being realistic. I'm gonna have to just be realistic with it.
TJ's not giving either team a chance. I see that. Chris, you've had some analysis. You run in the East as well. We know we're going to get to that series in a moment because that's a series to talk about. We're probably not going to be on the same page for. So, Chris, for you, all right, and you watch these teams, who should the Heat be more afraid of, the Hawks or the Cavs?
I think they should be more afraid of the Hawks just because and I'm in that party years ago. I didn't think Trae Young was going to show up in the playoffs. I thought when they announced the rule changes to the shooting fouls and all initiating contact going into this season, I thought it was going to be a huge adjustment for him. But he literally has not changed anything about his game, and he's playing at a very high level. And we saw it in last year's playoffs. He was such a great performer, and they just as a team, they all came together at the right time. Now it's been kind of a rocky road this season, but I just think that, Cleveland's missing Jared Allen. They're missing Colin Sexton. They have a lot of question marks regarding how they're going to operate. And I like this Cleveland team too, but kind of as TJ said, it doesn't necessarily matter who comes out of this playing game because Miami is legit and they are probably going to steamroll them in 4 or 5.
Yeah, I'm rolling with you up until that last piece. Eric.
The Hawks are good, but I'm just gonna be honest. The Heat will take it. I'm not even really worried about it. Whoever they play, the Hawks are on fire right now, but it's a playing game. They have to be there. But whomever the Heat goes up against, the Heat has it just for the first round.
I'll tell you,
we all in agreement.
We all agree the Heat's going to steamroll whoever they play. So I was just joking. I was going to try to pull y'all's leg. But if I have to say anything about the Heat, I don't want to really play the Hawks, right? Hawks are experienced. They've made their run, right? So both teams have made a run in previous playoff runs, right? Their own respective, aside from the team that's really the majority, everybody has the Bucks to make that deep run. So when I have to look at the Hawks team, when they're rolling like they are tonight, right, it's hard to beat them. So you get a couple of those nights, it's a 6-game series. You get 3 of those nights, it's a 7-game series. You get unlucky and play them 4 times hot, you got to win one of them, right? So you got to hope that if you're the Heat, you have no dysfunction in the playoffs and you're ready to go. And you got Spo there, and you've got Jimmy Butler to lead you there. And somebody said, I think it was Kenny, a healthy Oladipo. Don't make me laugh. I'll just skip that. But everybody else is good on that team. And Kyle Lowry. So former Houston Rocket legend, Kyle Lowry. And so you gotta imagine that the Heat are going to steamroll whoever they play. Just gotta weather the storm of a streaky Hawks team. But yeah, we're on agreement. Heat move on. Let's go to the series everybody is loving to talk about right now, which is exactly where Chris is going to come into play first. That's right, Celtics Nets. the 7-2 match. I mean the 2-7 matchup. I'll do it right in order for you now. Celtics Nets 2-7 matchup. Chris, I'm gonna let you start off. How do you feel about this series?
I could not have asked for a better first round, honestly. And I'm not saying that because I think it's going to be easy. I think it's going to be a very, very good and very competitive series. But this is a completely different Celtics team than last year. Last year, we started Tristan Thompson. We started Evan Fournier. We started Kemba Walker. There was no Jaylen Brown. Oh, and there was a guy by the name of James Harden that was chilling in Brooklyn around that round. Yeah. But this year, Tatum has made yet another jump into an MVP caliber player. He gets doubled now. He makes the right play. He's willing to make the pass. He's willing to get the hockey assist rather than the assist or the contested moving difficult shot. Jaylen Brown has improved as a playmaker. Those are the key things. This team runs a very efficient 1-5 switch everything defense, which I think is going to come in handy. And I just think Brooklyn gave up way too much in the Harden-Simmons trade to warrant them being able to be successful against a great team in a 7-game series. Like KD and Kyrie are going to do their thing. But other than that, in all honesty, the next person that scares me is Seth Curry. And if that's the third guy that scares you in a series, then it's not really guaranteed you're going to be making it out of the first round.
You got to think when that trade went down, you're having Simmons right now, right? Brooklyn obviously thought that, like our big three would be going. I don't know if they thought Simmons. By the way, how does Simmons clear a physical if he can't play? Anybody else get that? I don't get that.
I don't understand anything that's going on with Simmons.
That's a weird situation. Anyways, we'll go. That's a different topic for different show, Ernest. Okay, Eric, I'm gonna go to you next. All right, you see this, and Coach, I want me to do a shout out. Coach Peanut hyping up the Cavs. He says, "Go Cavs are gonna win the whole thing." Okay, Coach, we get it. Not TJ-esque there, but go Cavs and Coach Peanut. One of our streamers, if you go check out his content and show, Coach Peanut and the Nutty Bunch, go check it out. Eric, I'm going to go to you next, all right? Nets, Celtics, this series, I think you said you thought the series is going to be pretty close. Talk to me.
It's a great matchup. I just think I might get a lot of heat from this, but I think they're going to go to Game 7. I think they're going to go all 7 games. It's going to be back and forth. I mean, we saw how they played in the regular season. I mean, it was highlight after highlight. Great game, you know? But I think Boston's going to pull it out barely. It's just because when KD is hot, KD is hot. He's unstoppable. And we've seen that year after year in the playoffs, and he has that experience. But KD's going to make a hell for Boston, I'll tell you that much. But I think Boston's going to move on barely.
Yeah, for all those who don't know the acronym, that is former Texas legend Kevin Durant. Yeah, you might know him from a couple teams he traveled to in the league, but he's more known for his Longhorn days than anything. Okay, so Kevin Durant and the Nets so far have been said they're going to be dangerous, but they're not going to take out the Celtics. TJ, going to you, do you feel the Celtics have enough talent and depth to take out those Nets?
I got the Nets in 7. And like I said, I'll repeat what I said in the DMs. The Celtics is like the Lakers. Y'all go off history and y'all, we gonna win every year. All right, let me quit trying. So I'm gonna get serious. Just get that out the way. I got the Nets in 7. I feel like if Jason Brown and not Jason Brown, Jaylen Brown and Jason Taylor, I feel like they're not consistent. I feel like they getting consistent, but they're not really. And I feel like if one of them not have a good game, the Celtics not going to win. I feel like they depend way too heavy on Jason Taylor. I mean, he good as a young star. He up and coming. I just feel like they got experience. But I feel like if outside Jason Taylor and Jaylen Brown, I feel like if they don't put at least 30 a game, they're not going to win. I mean, you got Grant and y'all got Al Horford. Y'all got him back on team.
Al Horford.
Yeah, Al Horford good. But I feel like he can't keep. He not gonna be able to keep up with Nets, especially if they start running. If the Nets run a small ball lineup, which I think they go do, I got the Nets in 7.
And I'm gonna say this though: the Nets is older. You know, you have to understand that they're much older, but Boston is faster. They're able to run the 1-2 punches. Like I'll be honest, like if you watch them play in the regular season, those are playoff games, how they're playing in the regular season. We're about to see 7 games of that mentality. It's going to be a great series. But I honestly do think if Kevin Durant doesn't average 40 points a game, they're not making it past the first round. Tatum and Brown they're just really good. You got to understand that.
So Kevin Durant in the playoffs is just a whole different animal than Kevin Durant regular season, right? Not nearly to the level of Kevin Durant Texas Longhorn, but we won't talk about that. But Kevin Durant playoffs is just absolutely a monster, right? Like we see big shot after give the ball to him, he does not miss in the playoffs, right? When the Warriors were scared of the Rockets for all those years, Kevin Durant had to have the ball. They were going to lose. There was no other player good enough on their team.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, nobody, not even Steph Curry. So Kevin Durant's different. I think KD will average 37 in this series, and I do think it's enough. I don't think Kyrie likes Boston very much. I don't think Boston likes Kyrie. So there's a lot of hate there. And I think that Seth Curry will average something around 15 to 18 a game, which is going to be enough. I think the goal for Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown's going to be, can you lead through a 7-game series? I do think it's going to 7. Mm-hmm. I do think if KD and Kyrie are going to win, this is going to be at the Garden. It's going to have to be over there. And that's going to be a deciding game. Is the Garden going to be loud enough, or is it going to be enough defense from Boston to slow down KD enough? And if you can't slow down KD, slow down everybody else, right? That's the goal, slow down everybody else. And Boston has shown time and time from game to game they can do that. But the same opponent over and over again, will they be able to do that to an experienced team like the Nets? We'll see. I think experience is going to play a lot into this. So I do have Nets in 7. I'm very similar to TJ. I do have Nets in 7. No, he's not. Not yet. We don't know. He could show up, but not yet. We don't know. We don't know that yet.
I don't even think Simmons would even do some sort of a factor, if I'm being honest.
No, with no games.
That's what I'm saying. And like, even if he did come back, there'd be times where Andre Drummond and Ben Simmons are on the court at the same time.
Terrible.
And on an elite, like one of the best statistical defensive teams we've ever seen in the league, and you give them 2 players on the court that can't score outside of the paint.
Right.
It's going to come down to how they play Kyrie and Durant, and it's going to be the supporting cast. Can KD and Kyrie each get 5 whatever assists that they need, like out of the double teams, to warrant them to not bring the double team as hard, not to trap as aggressively? But I just think like Tatum and Brown average 50 plus in the regular season as a duo. Their ball movement is impeccable. Peyton Pritchard has a season where he's shooting 42% from the 3 line, and he didn't miss from the free throw line. That's a really good shooter you have. And not that he's going to be playing large minutes of any sort. He'll be in the 8-man rotation, but that helps. Al Horford and Grant Williams, they talk about the speed of this team. Those 2 are some of the most statistically versatile defenders in the league. They legitimately guard 1 through 5 because this is a switch everything defense. It doesn't work. It wouldn't work if Al Horford couldn't keep up, or if Grant couldn't keep up to the level that it is. And it's also rumored that Rob might come back during the series.
I was going to say
that would be huge. That would be huge.
If Rob was here, if he was 100% and they went into the series, I'd say Celtics in 5 or 6.
In 5 or 6. I'd be the same way. I would feel the same. So don't get me wrong. I know the Celtics are talented, right? We all know the Celtics, obviously.
Yeah, we know they're going to reason.
I think the Celtics were definitely underrated to start the year. I don't think anybody at the Celtics is a 2 seed.
Well, we also underperformed very greatly in the beginning of the year.
You guys have your games.
Nobody thought the Celtics would be where they're at. But that's the thing. We all know the Nets shouldn't be where they're at too, right? If the Nets were healthy all year, they're definitely a 3 or 4 seed. Like, this is a 2nd round matchup in the first round of the playoffs.
It is.
So let's just be honest here. This is definitely a very competitive series. And on paper, with all injuries on there, with the players playing, with the Durantula and Kyrie revenge killing on one side, the Celtics youth and heartfulness on one side, there's only one player that breaks hearts. And besides James Harden and his strip clubs, it's Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant breaks the hearts. And so you have very heartful Celtics. It's just a bad matchup for me. You can't stop KD. So if there's any game that's close, I'm riding Nets money line. Any game that's close, I'm riding this money line. Like that's just what I'm doing. Now you got to hope as a Celtics fan, the games are on your side by at least 8 or 9 points, but 3-minute mark of the fourth quarter, or it's very much danger zone. So
This game comes down. This game, all right, one more. This game comes down to whoever. This game comes down to whatever bench plays better. We know what the starters gonna do with the starters, but like Asia Tatum said, talking to Asia Tatum, you have to agree. This game comes down to who got the better bench. Let's say that.
Yeah, and the Celtics have a significantly better supporting cast, 1 through 8, and even 1 through 9. Even, I just think that in the way they play and the acquisition of Derek White completely changed the image of this team and how they play.
Absolutely love it.
A perfect acquisition for that. And I've been saying it on this podcast during the bubble series and the last year, the disappointing series. They lost that Hayward role, the guy who can get you offense whenever, doesn't need to score a lot, but is arguably your best playmaker. And not only does he fill all of those boxes that Hayward fills, he's an elite defender. You got to realize Kyrie is going to be coming off of screens to get smart off of him. And he's getting hit with Derek White. He's getting hit with Jason Tatum. He's getting hit with Jaylen Brown. All of these guys, you could make an argument for being an elite defender or an all defensive bid if they were a sole like proprietor of the defense. Marcus Smart might even go down and win Defensive Player of the Year just because he's been performing so well.
He won it, actually.
Did they announce it?
If I'm mistaken, they announced it the other day.
I don't think all the votes are in, but I could be wrong about that. But I knew he was in the lead, like from some like spreadsheet I was looking at.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just think in playoff series, it's who has the yes, offense trumps all in like the tight moments of the game. But throughout the entire 48 minutes, who has the better defense? And Boston is elite, and Brooklyn is mediocre at best. You bring Ben Simmons in, that doesn't even move the needle for me defensively too much. There are just so many players that it's just Blake Griffin, LaMarcus Aldridge. Like I'd say arguably their best perimeter defender is Kessler Edwards at this point. Like there's like, and a lot of people don't even know who Kessler Edwards is.
Yeah, I completely agree. We could talk about this all night, but we're going to move on. We're going to move on from this. I don't think Defensive Player of the Year has been announced yet, but he is a front runner according to Sports Illustrated. Let's move on. Bucks Baby Bulls is the next series matchup. Bucks Baby Bulls. Very controversial as the Bulls have been hit with injuries themselves all year, not going in at full strength, obviously missing Ball going into the playoffs. Overrated has been a term used for the Bulls. You don't think so, TJ. And so I'm going to start this one with Eric, though. Eric, do you see the Bulls with a chance to beat the Bucks in an upset?
I do, actually. I really do.
Okay. All right. Bulls, let's hear it out.
The Bulls is a great team. Even with Ball being out, I remember seeing some of the games with Ball playing. I mean, it's hit or miss. Ball isn't 100% consistent. I mean, sometimes he'll average, he'll get his 12 and 10, or he'll get, 6 and 2. It just depends what kind of ball we get that night. But I strongly believe this is another situation with like the Nets. If DeMar DeRozan goes off, or if Zach LaVine goes off, that's going to be a hard duo to stop. And I'll be honest, I've been watching the Bucks play. It's like the same thing as last year. You go through Giannis, you go through Holiday. Other than that, I mean, you got Middleton. It's going to be the same exact thing. Don't get me wrong. Yeah, they won it last year. But how far can they continue doing this each year? They're going to eventually stop them. And I think this is where an upset is brewing. They're going to go to 7. I think the Bulls are going to pull it out.
Wow, that'd be a shocker to me. I have Bucks in the gentleman's sweep 4-1. I don't think the Bulls match up talent-wise very well. I love some of the players in the Bulls. I'm a DeRozan guy. I like the grit from the Bulls, but when I look at the Bucks, just like I used to say about the Rockets, I'm going to stay unbiased here. Nobody beats them until they can prove they can beat them, right? And so nobody's beaten this team in the playoffs last year. So I'm gonna keep riding with them. I don't think a first round exit's in the cards, and Giannis is just too powerful. I just don't know who keeps up with him on the Bulls. I'm taking the Bucks to win in 5. TJ, how do you like this matchup?
Well, like I said previously, I don't think the Bucks. I don't think the Bulls are great. I think they're exactly what they're supposed to be in the playoffs. Like I said, No, I do think they're going to lose to the Bucks. Like I get them. Unless Giannis just have one of them games, or anything can happen. So unless Giannis get injured, or like Drew Holiday just forget how to play defense, I think there's gonna be one of them upset series. Like Eric said, I feel like I just don't know. It's like this is one of them upsets coming. I just haven't said, but I do feel like the Bucks go win in 6.
Okay, so TJ says as
But-
long as the stars stay aligned, the Bucks are winning in 6. But if something crazy happens and the Bulls steal 1 or 2, it's the Bulls series to lose. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, I feel like that's what I'm doing. You just gotta have to see. It just feel like I feel like the Bucks get way too comfortable depending on Giannis. Like they getting way too comfortable. Like this previous draft, they not really drafting players. They trading draft picks and all that. I think they're getting way too comfortable depending on Giannis.
Yeah, everybody's lucky. The words overrated and Giannis have been flirting around, and I haven't even put them together yet. You guys are all lucky. Chris, how do you feel about this series?
Well, I think it's a terrible matchup if you're Chicago. I think you couldn't have asked for a worse opponent because the way the Bulls are constructed, Giannis is really that center, the slasher, the facilitator. He's the big man. Lopez, Portis, those guys, they hang out on the perimeter. Who are you? If you are Nikolai Vucevic, if you're strategizing for the Bulls, who do you put him on?
Right.
Because he's such a bad defender on the perimeter and he's not a shot blocker. So if you put him on Giannis, you're like, oh, like just be physical, just try and like get him out of rhythm or whatever. Giannis is going to drop 40 on his head and he might not miss a shot. Like, and I feel a lot more confident about the Bulls if Lonzo was here. I think Alex Caruso and Grayson Allen have enough beef to make this a WWE pay-per-view. But it's a case of they haven't been there yet. Levine was supposed to be this guy, and he's not really been a large contributor on a playoff team. DeRozan's been there, but he's underperformed at every turn, and he just hasn't lived up to that potential, especially with the Raptors. You saw how many times they got the 1 seed or got the 2 seed and just got decimated.
Right.
And so it's really like you can't rely on DeRozan to be this MVP type in the playoffs. We don't know what Levine's going to be. Vucevic is going to be a defensive liability. And then the rest of this team is just, Patrick Williams is a great piece, but it's like if you had Lonzo, if you had all the pieces together and they were on a roll, then maybe they could take a couple games. But this is ending in 4 or 5.
You have to see what's going to happen though. DeRozan in the playoffs is a different beast. It's the same thing. I'm not going to compare him to Kevin Durant because Kevin Durant's great, but I'm not trying to say that they're going to win it all. That'll be super funny, but they're going to give the Bucks a run. I mean, don't get me wrong. Giannis has a good mid-range game, but they're going to try to have him shoot mid-range a lot.
Yeah, but my question is, who forces him to shoot?
Who guards Giannis? Yeah, that's my big. Who's big enough and lengthy enough on the Bulls to stop Giannis?
I mean, who can you say that about now, other than Embiid, other than Kevin Durant right now and Giannis?
But they have people in the East, right? Like those are people in the East that can match up with Giannis.
But
even the Celtics could match up Rob Williams on.
Yeah,
on
Rob and Al always do such a great job.
Like there's people on each team. Like Vucevic is not the guy. Who's the guy?
That's the thing. You have for some mid-range, but you have 2 to 3 players in the whole entire Eastern Conference who we're saying who's able to guard Giannis, right?
Yeah, so that's why it's going to be a what? That's the whole problem with this matchup. That's why I say it's a bad matchup. I'm not saying the Bulls are a bad team.
I'm not.
I could name a person on each playoff team aside from the Bulls that can match up with Giannis 60% of the time. I don't know who on the Bulls can match up roster-wise for the Bulls with Giannis. That's why I think it's a terrible matchup.
They're gonna put the Rose on him. That's all.
They're not
they just go throw the Rose on him too.
Yeah, if you're the Bulls, the only way you stop Giannis is if you double or triple team him at times in the paint, in the post. But what is he going to do? He's going to kick it out. That's what Milwaukee's offense is. Like that's why they have Portis. That's why they have Lopez. That's why they have 2 stretch 5s. Is because they know, if we put a center that's a mid-range scorer, a post scorer next to Giannis, it's not going to be as successful. And it's just they have so many shooters. Middleton has always been a pretty good shooter. I think he's a little overrated, but he's a great shooter. He knows how to get off ball. He knows how to get his space. And when there's so much attention on Giannis, it just makes it so much more difficult as a defensive scheme.
One of our streamers, the Holy Man, jumping in. What's up, man? Glad to see you supporting the podcast. For me, it's a no. I think it's the Bucks to lose in the East. And I can definitely elaborate on that more on a different episode next week when we're dissecting the matchups and where they're at. But I think it's the Bucks to lose. Totally different conversation. So Eric, I'll let you do the last 30-second rebuttal here before we change to the last game of the Eastern Conference. What were you gonna say?
All that I was going to say, it's going to be a good game, a good series regardless. I think the Bulls are gritty. That's the one thing, they have heart. They're going to try their hardest. Yeah, you could swing it out. You could shoot from the corner. You could shoot from anywhere. But the thing is, like, when the Bulls are hot, they're hot. And if DeRozan is hot.
The series will be 2-1 in Chicago for Game 4. That's what it'll be. And that's about as competitive and close as it's going to get. And if Chicago can win that game, then we got a series. If Chicago loses it, it's over in 5. That's what it's going to be.
I'm going to put Chicago money line on Sunday.
That's a good idea. That's a good idea. All right, let's go to our last matchup, which is centered around the Beard and what some would call the MVP in Joel Embiid. Before we go to that final game, though, you guys may not know this, but BCMG has been putting together a lot of stuff this year, a lot of live events, a lot of virtual events, but because we're better together, and we wouldn't be better together without all of you and without all the great talent that joins BCMG. So if you're thinking about joining a podcast, if you think about joining a podcast, thinking about being a streamer or joining as a streamer, check out what you'd be missing and why we chose Better Together.
Happy Thursday, y'all. Happy Thursday.
I'm your host, Andrew Kahn. This is the Boomtown Pod.
Add into the Lab Pod is where you're watching today's stream.
Stuck him!
It is Blue Collar Game Day. I am your host.
I got a kill!
Yes! Welcome to episode 277 of the Official Butthole Podcast. Got him.
Beautiful.
Better together.
Better together.
We're better together.
Better together.
Better together.
You saw those wonderful logos on your screen. Our hashtag Better Together also runs through our sponsors. If you saw me chewing some stuff earlier, because I've got the official BCMG snack line. That is right. Our Sweet Victory O's, Sweet Blue Victory. Go check this out. Creationsnack.com is where you can check that out. Creationsnacks.com, code BCMG. Go grab our line, guys. It's delicious. Matter of fact, I shouldn't be eating all these, but I am. I'm eating the whole bag. So go check it out. Creation Snacks, Sweet Blue Victory, the BCMG official snack line. The Holy Man is commenting on here using our logo. Let me tell you something. Tomorrow at 5 p.m., I'll be on the road from what would be my real life job. And I will be driving back, but I will also be a featured guest for the Holy Man and checking out. So get on the road with me as you make your way home from work, 5 Central Time. I'll be doing an exclusive interview with the Holy Man on his podcast featured on the BCMG network. Very excited to go over this last matchup. Of course, I have ties to this. I'm going to start this debate off as to who's winning this series. I'm interested to see if people differ. Embiid, Beard, the rest of the team versus the Toronto Raptors. I'm going to tell you guys right now, for James Harden, the Raptors are the Utah Jazz of the East. This series is not going to be close. This series is going to be done in 5. It's going to be Philly in 5, and they're going to be waiting for whoever's coming out of that matchup above between the Heat and the Hawks. And I am very intrigued to see how the Embiid and the Beard do together in the playoffs. But I'm even more intrigued to see what kind of matchup they do with whoever comes out of that 1-8 matchup. So I'm going to tell you right now, Philly in 5. And the only reason I'm saying 5 is because there's going to be a couple of close games where Embiid is going to carry because Harden is not that playoff guy. But I'm excited to see what this team will do and how they look. Despite their 50-50 struggles along the way. TJ, I'm going to you next.
You really don't like Harden.
I chose him to win.
You still mad about the Houston days?
Not too mad, but that's a different podcast episode for a different day, TJ. It's a different podcast episode for a different day.
It's one of them series. So I feel like both of them go lose the next round, no matter who wins. I feel like this is going to go 7. It's probably one of them. This probably one of them series where it don't matter if they go 7 games. I feel like the next series they're going to lose, but I feel like Philly go win this in 6 or 7. I feel like Raptors got one of them gritty. The Raptors got one of them. They always seem to get it done the last minute type things, even without Kawhi. But I still feel like Philly go either sweep them or it's going to go at least 5-6. At least 6.
Eric, you're on my screen. What you got?
What do I got? I go with the same thing what you said. I think Sixers are going to win, and I mean, to be honest, it might be even a sweep, 4-0. The one thing that I do want to say is I think James Harden is going to show something this year. I really do. He has to do something this year. He has been subpar for the past couple of years, but I think this year he's actually going to do something. Maybe average pretty good, like 25, something like that each game. But they'll make it out of the first round easy.
I'll tell you right now, if the Sixers don't win the first round, Harden's gone.
Where to? Back to ASU?
Back to Houston. All right. So, Chris, how are you feeling about this series? I know you got some words for this series.
As a Celtics fan, you'd wish that there was a scenario where both teams end up losing somehow. But I don't know how I feel about this Toronto Raptors team. They're a very gritty team. They're going to give you a competitive game regardless. I really don't like the way that this Philly team is constructed at the moment for some reason. I don't really have the statistics to back it up. I just don't think that the Harden Embiid combination is something that you get for longevity playoff wise. They're both guys whose stamina and health have been an issue for them in the playoffs, playing a lot of games. So Toronto, if they play them gritty, it's going to be a tough series for them. The benefit of this matchup happening so early is it's the first round. So Embiid and Harden are going to be as fresh as they possibly can be. And I think Philly will have a relatively easy time getting this done in 5 or 6. And I say the 6 is if the grit does get to them and Toronto ends up stealing a game. And we've seen how that happened. As a Celtics fan in the bubble, when the C's were up and pretty decisively, OG Anunoby hit that game winner in the corner, and they ended up going 7. And so that's just the type of Nick Nurse always runs a competitive team. They're not going to just, lie on their backs and take a 4-game series. They're going to fight their way out regardless. So I think that if you're Philly, it's kind of a grown, we have to play the Raptors first. But I think overall they get the job done.
Can I ask you something?
Go ahead.
Just a quick question. So you said that the Raptors are more gritty. Who's better, Bulls or Raptors?
Well, I say the Bulls are a better team. I'm saying, but the thing is, Milwaukee, in my opinion, is a lot better.
Oh no, I'm not going back to Milwaukee. I'm generally wanting your opinion if they're Raptors.
Oh no, I think I like Chicago. Okay. I like a lot of players on that team. I just don't think it's a good matchup for them. If Toronto is a weird thing because Siakam for a long time had the offensive bag of an NBA G leaguer. That dude could not score in any versatile way. And he got shut down by Jaylen Brown in the bubble and all of that stuff, but he's matured, and I like the way he's progressing now. And it'll just be interesting to see how they operate going forward.
I like that. Thank you.
If the Bulls were playing the Sixers,
who
would you guys take in that series?
Bulls in 6.
I the Boston fan in me wants to say Bulls in 7. I think it'd go to 7.
I think it'd be Philly in 6, but I still lean Philly in that series.
That would be fun to watch.
I hold the Bulls higher than the Raptors, but it's not like a leap. It's close. It's not
for me it's if Sixers Raptors it's 5 or 6 Philly. If it was the Bulls it'd be 6 or 7 Philly.
We got to realize that Philly
only got to say Bulls.
We got to realize we got to realize Philly only got like 3 more wins than Toronto. Like, I hear what y'all saying. Y'all make it seem like Toronto is just one of them like slouch teams. Like, Philly is not just about to run over Toronto like that.
Yeah,
like, these
but
gonna
Philly-
leave some club.
But
Philly was
Toronto's the
Philly was
Jazz.
Embiid and nobody else
Yeah.
besides Seth Curry for
Like 2 years.
you know. No. Well, I mean, like for this year, it was like 40 games, and then Harden came. So then they went on a streak with Harden, and then they started going 50-50, where they were winning and losing. Philly's a tough team because they don't have a lot of experience on their starting lineup together. So we'll really have to see what happens. I just think talent-wise, Harden's good first, second round of the playoffs. But come clutch time in the finals and Western and conference finals, he just kind of disappears. Guys, that's our show for tonight. But we don't want to leave you hanging before we say, hey, put this game in your parlay. Instead of pulling one on the guys, I want you guys to pick a series that you are confident in. And I'm going to go around the room and I'll go last. Eric, I'm going to start with you. What series are you confident in that you would say pick this team to win that series?
Ooh. Boston in 7.
He says you can put your cards and your money and your life on Boston. Put your next paycheck there. Chris.
I'm gonna have to agree with him. I'm not gonna give the number of games because I don't want to be I don't want to be overconfident here. But
give me another one. Give me another one.
Another one. All right.
Yeah, give me a second one.
Miami over anyone in the first round.
I'm parlaying the series picks. I'm parlaying the series
Miami
picks.
over anyone in the first round.
Miami and Boston are the parlay series picks. TJ.
Let's see. Who's the Suns playing? Who are they playing first?
Suns over anyone.
I got the Suns in
it
5.
do not
Hell,
matter.
who they playing?
Suns over
I got
anyone.
the Suns.
I do want to say though, if they get the Clippers though.
Oh, Play-in P is gonna go off, man.
Yep.
Oh gosh, stop! It's the
Y'all like
Suns.
Paul George like that? Paul George is not like that in playoffs.
I called him Play-in P for a reason, guys.
I guess I'm going to keep the trend going. I'm going Grizzlies. We think the 1-2s are going to make it past the first round, guys. That is our wonderful show. Keep you updated. Spurs down 2 late in the first. But it's been fun, guys. Of course, I'm going to do outros for everybody. We'll start this one off with the great and most consistent sports scientist as of late, TJ McKinley. Talk to him, TJ. Where can they find your content?
Thank you. Oh, Eric, Ernest, and Agent Taylor. I'm sorry if I don't know your real name. I'm sorry. This is TJ McKinley at Mr. TJ Savage. And go follow the other 3. We don't do this for no. We all doing this to grow us one. So go follow the other 3 that was on here. Everybody basically in the group. Just go follow everybody. But it's TJ McKinley at Mr. TJ Savage.
Wonderful. TJ, fantastic addition to the Sports Scientist group. I think you're going to be here for a very long time, bud. So stay with us there. All right. He made his appearance. He's been gone for a while, but Chris or Agent Tatum, tell the people where they can find you.
Chris.
I was gone for a minute.
Okay, it's Chris.
But yeah, you can find me on most platforms at Agent Tatum. Most active on Twitter, I'd say, but I do happen to have a YouTube and an Instagram. Not very active on those, but graduation is approaching. We could see an uptick in activity there.
Right.
But follow me on Twitter. Definitely want to talk more ball with everybody. So, Ernest, thank you for having me. Great talking to you fellas. It's been a pleasure.
Hey, absolutely, Chris. You're always welcome. You're on the banner of ITL, so your ass better be back more often. Now, he made a late arrival like he was going to WWE, but no, he's part of ITL. That's right. Eric Munguia. Talk to people. I think is that your tag right there, Eric Digital 94?
Yes, sir.
I memorized that. You should appreciate that. Tell the people where they can find you and yeah.
You can find me on Twitter, Eric Digital 94. Tweeting out often, and then I'll be on the show quite frequently. So thank you guys, and as always, thank you, Ernest.
Beautiful. Always happy to have some West Coast thoughts because we don't have very much here. Of course, I'm your host, Ernest Silva. Add into the Lap Pod is where you can find most of our content. I will put out our parlay series complete tomorrow as we showcase this episode. But thank you guys so much for joining us tonight. We wish you luck if your teams are still dancing for the NBA. We wish you guys luck on any bets you make in the future. Happy baseball season to those who are into that. And catch us on the next couple of episodes. Big call outs here. Butthole will be covering the draft for Blue Collar Media Group. That's right here. Blue Collars NFL draft coverage will be done by the Butthole Podcast. Go follow them. Go check them out. They're going to be doing it. And then the NBA draft, as you know, the Houston Rockets, really big there. We'll be covering it right here on Into the Lab. So excited to have you guys join all of our communities and all of our great shows. Good night, everybody.